Hello everybody, this is DearMamaSal, and yeah, right. How are you peeps? Okay, it's 4 degrees here in Canada, which probably translates to about 50, I would think, something around there. Let's check. Oh no, well, sorry, 40. 39 in fact, in the US. So it feels mild, so you know I've got my heavy coat on. Not going to get caught like I did yesterday, that's for sure. Especially as when I go into the office, it's warm in there. So you sort of go from cold outside to warm inside. Yeah, right. A good night actually. I was very well behaved. I went home and I cooked some dinner, and I had, what did I have? I had chickenella king type stuff, but it was not chickenella king, like chicken Kiev, but it wasn't Kiev. I don't know what you call it when it had brie inside it. Brie and something else. I can't remember what the other thing was. Anyway, it was very tasty. And then I had some sort of like 2/3 of a cup, I would think, of rice and some corn. So, and I didn't anywhere near finish my corn. I should have had half of one, not a whole one. But it was very satisfying and I enjoyed it. And then because I finished Angie's blanket, it was time for me to get down to doing one for me. Well, doing something for me. And that's what I said, that before I go on to the next thing, the next blankie is for Wade, but before I start that, I wanted to make something for myself. So I'm making like a poncho thing for myself, which I'm making up as I go along. I know, get a pattern salt. Yeah, I know, just don't do that well. You know, I just want to and you know something, I do this all the time, and I probably will or will not finish it, and will or will not wear it, and that's fine. You understand, I crochet to keep my mind off cigarettes. Even a year later. That sort of, it just occupies my mind, and it forces me to relax actually. And it's a good multitasking thing to do. You know, I can put on a movie, or I can put on, I've been watching I guess a series out of the UK, Sharon, which is Endeavour, which is the story of the young Inspector Morse. For those of you who were Inspector Morse fans, if you got Netflix, the series is actually called Endeavour, which was Morse's first name, of course, although we very rarely heard it. So if you like detective type things, which I do, obviously, and I was wondering, I actually sent a quick tweet out to Jen yesterday to see if she had been a Morse watcher, because I know she's a big Sherlock fan, and those British mysteries I don't know, they're just so well done in my mind. So I thoroughly enjoy watching it. So I sat down, and unfortunately though, I have come to the end of the first series. Now I've got to wait for the next series to come up again. But it helped me finish the blanket and start on something for myself. So hopefully that'll be good fun. Well, the thing that has really stunned me is the number of views on my little thing about the eye makeup. Who knew? I don't know where these peeps came out of the woodwork, but there were people viewing. You know, you get used to sort of having so many views in the first 24 hours. Yeah, well, the eyeshadow thing was about 4 times that many. And I'm going, they got all these makeup gurus. Why would that many people watch an old fart putting on makeup? Maybe because there are not too many old farts putting on makeup. Good thinking, Sal. Oh, anyway, I am so glad that I prefaced it though with the words, this is not the right way to do it, this is just my way of doing it. And of course it was one of the worst things in eye makeup that I've done. But it was okay. What have I got today? Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention was, you remember right at the end there when I was trying to dry brush out the line? Well, it wasn't, I realized afterwards, it wasn't a bad blending line, it was baggy eyes line. Now, for those of you who got baggy eyes, you'll totally understand what I mean. It was nothing to do with the makeup, it had to do it had to do with my eyes. And then no way a brush is going to fix that one, Sal. But nice try. Hope you weren't drinking coffee. It was just like, nice try. When I looked at it again, I had to look at it again because somebody made a remark about the funny, or the look that I gave at the end was priceless. And I'm going, really? So I had to rewatch it. And for some reason I got to rewatch that section where I was trying to blend out the crease in my eye. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, Salzy, really? That is not a blending problem. That's a saggy eye problem. So anyway, it was most amusing to me. I know one of the discussions I wanted to have with you today. One of the discussions I want to have is, I have got a clothes thief in my house. Now, we've all had the sock gobbler in the dryer and washing machine. Now, I mean, that's common practice that we have something that gobbles up socks. You put in two and one comes out. Or in my case, hose. You put in two and one comes out. Or you put in two perfectly good ones and one comes out not looking quite so good. I have got a new problem. I have got a gobbler of bigger things. Somewhere in my house, somebody has got my beautiful turquoise scarf. Now, it's in my house somewhere. Does anybody know where? I have not been able to find it. I know it's in there. It's got to be in there. I'd hate to lose it because I love the color of it. And then the other thing, now this is really ridiculous. For those of you who might have seen it on a vlog in the fall, I've got like a purpley color pea coat, I think they call it. It's like a hip length coat. Actually, I lie. It's more like a thigh length coat. Yeah, it's sort of mid to thigh to knee. No, I think it's mid thigh. Anyway, it's a purple coat. A coat, people. How can you lose a coat? I know it's there somewhere. I don't know how I hid it that well. Now, the only other thing is that I took it somewhere and forgot to pick it up as I left. Now, this only is a problem if I do a lot of things, which I don't, as you know. So how many places have I been since I last did a broadcast wearing that coat? I left it somewhere, I don't know where. It's hanging in somebody's closet. Or it's hanging somewhere in mine and I can't see it. I even had Yvonne check my coat cupboard to see if it was in there, because sometimes a new set of eyes in the same place. Now that's where I would have thought I would have put it, but it's not there. Even Yvonne tells me that. So, such is life. Never mind. Okay, now what I did do last night was I had a quick look at the balance survey for last year. And it quite surprised me, because I would say that well over half of the viewers that bothered to fill in the balance survey told me that overall they actually weren't doing too badly, which was a great improvement on the first year that I did it. I found that the first year a lot of the people who answered the survey were not feeling too happy. And what I noticed this year, those people that filled in the survey, the majority of them were on good to very good sort of scale. So isn't that nice to hear? Now, there were some areas that I noted that were pretty low, and I seem to remember that their financial situation came up. I really want to push the lady ahead of me. Thank you, ma'am. It's not very often that my car has to drop into a lower gear because it's going too slowly up a hill. Today would be that day, of course. Anyway, so financial issues seem to be a factor for quite a few people, and I'll get into that a bit more when I've had a better look at the figures. And it's interesting that, you know, what people have asked me to do more of. And one of the things they asked me to do more of are more vlogs, and I'm going, how many more can I do in a week? Seriously. And I have to laugh because I used to do 1 or 2 a week. And I think I used to do 2 broadcasts. Now I'm pretty sure I do close to 7 vlogs a week of some sort, and 4 broadcasts. So when do they expect me to do these things? That's really quite funny. And what I've tried to do is to turn the vlogs into little moments of life lessons, because so many people do ask me to more life lessons. They seem to like learning ways to handle their life better. And talking of that, and I can't remember if I've discussed it with you before, but one of our viewers on the broadcast, I think I might have done, is learning to cope without the father of her child. The father of her child has decided to go off to another town with a much younger woman. Gee, when have we heard that story before? And live a new life. And for those of you who have been through that, and I'm pretty sure that some of you have, I think I would really appreciate it if you could let us have some feedback as to what you learned in terms of how you learned how to cope on your own. What advice would you give somebody who's suddenly been left holding the responsibility? Because from what I could gather from the discussion that I had privately, the chances of this person keeping their commitment to help look after the child is probably slim to none. This didn't sound like somebody who understood responsibility very well. It was just a case of, oh, I'm bored or whatever, now I'm moving on, something brighter, prettier, whatever, So I know that some of you out there have had experience, and also it's really important for us to discuss this, because for those of you who've been through this, what warning signs were there that on reflection you can say, I didn't see it at the time, but now that I think about it, this was going on. And so if any of you have any insight into that, or just ways in which I think I'd like to look at the positive side of this, which is a lot of you did this and you survived and lived very meaningful lives as a single parent. Now, I think she has 2 children and a dog. I know she has the dog. So it's an important lesson. She doesn't live in North America, so just talk in general terms, not in terms of specifics of the US or Canada. But what advice have you got? What helped you most? And I'm sort of thinking about, how many of you said, okay, fine, I need more help in bringing up my children, so maybe I've gone to something like Big Sisters or Big Brothers to get another role model for my child. How many of you joined a church and or were part of a church that really held you up when times got tough, which I'm sure they did? How many of you took up a hobby so that you weren't always looking after children? I was talking to somebody yesterday, and one of the things that they said to me was they have no hobbies. They're in their 50s and they have absolutely no hobbies at all, because they got married or very young and had children very young, and the children were their life and their existence. Do you know what I mean? Their reason for being was the children. Well, the sad thing is those children have up and grown up and left home long time since, but now they've got families of their own and far less time for mommy. In fact, then the amount that they need from mommy now is minimal, because they're all grown up. So, and she's busy being told by therapists, well, what have you enjoyed in your life? You should go back to that. And her answer was nothing. She never had a hobby, never had time for one. She was either working or looking after the kids. So she has no perception. Now, I wonder how many of you relate to that. And perhaps you've got some input as to what has worked for you in that area. And a lot of people have asked me, hey Sal, what are you going to do when you retire? Aren't you going to be bored out of your mind? Yeah, right. It's like, you got to be joking, really? I have for years, I'm not being funny, collected canvases, material, wool, all sorts of stuff ready for my retirement. Now, over and above the fact you all know that I'm going to be vlogging, and hopefully, doing a bit of sightseeing and take you along, because you guys seem to enjoy that. It was really nice to hear from those of you who are incapacitated in some way that you enjoy those little trips that I do, and I will certainly wait for the next sunny day and do another little, sort of what I call a mini vacation thing for you. Especially when I heard how much some of you enjoyed it, and it didn't need to be hundreds of people. It was the fact that some of you wrote so thankfully from the bottom of your heart, and I could feel it. And I'm going, wow, that wasn't much for me to do, but it sure had an impact on somebody's life. So I will do it again. And anyway, so good to go back to this whole hobby thing. I realize I've always had hobbies. I've always been somebody that entertains themselves, and not just with a screen. You know what I mean? It's not just television and the vlogging. I've always been somebody that has enjoyed. I'm pretty good at woodwork. I'd love to get back to that. I have all the equipment, really. I mean, there have been men that have drooled when they've seen the equipment I've got in my workshop. Now, I'm looking forward to having the time to actually use some of that stuff. And I intend to. Because I really used to enjoy doing that. Now, my only problem is that my back is not as strong as it used to be. And so a lot of woodwork requires that you stand and scrunch over and stuff. So I obviously need to get back on the total gym and start doing some serious work to strengthen my back again. Okay, that's a good goal, because I need to get back on the total gym to also lose some weight. Yeah, right. I was very good there with the rice. I purposely measured the rice. I took a cupped container and then I only filled it to such a degree and then turned it upside down, which had two things. Number one, I knew how much rice I was taking. It wasn't just shovelfuls. And then it also made a very pretty little round of rice, which I will do again. I like that. So peeps, here we go. Today, enjoy your life. Do any of us know there is a tomorrow? Nope. And so today I would say to you, don't worry about losing the coat. It's in the house somewhere, and who knows, you may never need it. The turquoise scarf, it would be nice if you could find it. And if you don't, you will undoubtedly find another one. Maybe it'll be shocking pink instead. Who knows? But, peeps, be good to one another. Have manners. Enjoy your day. This is Dear Mama Sal, going to work. Bye for now.